Oh snap. How many lenses split in two and still work? The Canon 50 1.8 does. Now this is the best lens for your money. I have the older plastic version, which you can buy used now for like $60, $70. The newer version, which has metal on the back, you could get brand new for like $120, $130. So this lens, for the price, you just can't beat it. Besides the price, this lens is so darn small. I mean, look at it here. You can have this lens, toss it in your bag, go hiking all day, walk around. You don't have to ice your wrist or your hand at the end of the day. It's just such a great lens, and for the size, you can't make any excuse not to use it. You could throw this on any tripod or stabilizer, and it's going to be a lot easier to balance it and a lot easier to use because the lens is so lightweight. Let's talk about the focal length, 50 millimeters. 50 millimeter lens is going to look great on no matter what camera you have. If you're using a full frame camera, this lens is going to be great for environmental portraits because it's going to be 50 millimeters. It's going to be a great all-around walking around lens. 50 millimeters is what the eye naturally views, the natural field of view of your eye when you're not using a camera. So 50 millimeters is just going to look very natural. When you take a picture and people see it, they're used to seeing that all the time, so it just seems to feel right. If you have a crop sensor lens, this is going to be the equivalent of 80 millimeters, which is a classic portrait lens. So you can take some really great portraits of people, and the 80 millimeters is going to give a flattering look for the people that you take a picture. Their head and their facial features are all going to be in proportion and look really nice. So you can go in really tight and get a great portrait. So you may be asking yourself, Brett, what are you talking about full frame and crop sensor? What the heck is that? Right? So for most DSLR cameras, it's going to be either a full frame or a cropped sensor. Okay, so let's talk about a full frame camera. A full frame camera is the equivalent of the old 35 millimeter film cameras. So inside your camera, there's a sensor. That's where the light hits and this registers the information. So a 35 millimeter camera is going to have a sensor that looks like this, whereas a crop sensor is going to look more like this. As you can see, the full frame sensor is much bigger than the crop sensor. Because of this, on the crop sensor, your camera actually doesn't take the full image. It takes only part of the image. It's not using the entire lens. It's using a fraction of the lens. Therefore, it's zoomed in a little more. Just for further clarification, a full frame sensor camera would be something like the Canon Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, all right? A crop sensor would be something like the Canon 70D or the Canon 7D or the Canon Rebel TI3 or TI5 or TI6. So all the cameras over here use full frame sensors, and all the cameras over here use crop sensors. Alright, so if you look at this lens, you can see it's wide open there, right? Letting a lot of light in. Now, this is the thing that I probably love the most about this lens. You get a Hollywood look without a Hollywood budget. Because it's an f1.8 lens, you can shoot wide open, which means you shoot at a low aperture number like f1.8 or f2 or f2.8. Because that's such a low aperture number, it's all the way open, meaning the blade inside your camera is letting so much light into the camera, as you can see right here. Now, shooting at f1.8, you're gonna get a really shallow depth of field, and this gives your images a cinematic look, especially when shooting videos. So if you're making movies and you're shooting with 1.8, it's gonna only focus on one part of the frame, maybe just a person's eyes, or maybe their hands, or maybe something else that's moving in the image, and everything else is gonna have a nice bokeh or background blur. So when you do this, you're gonna get a great cinematic look, and for this price and the size, it's gonna be amazing. Also, because it lets so much light in, it's great for shooting moving people or objects. So sports, action photography, this is great because you can use a faster shutter speed because so much light is coming in. So a lot of photojournalists, sports shooters, if you're shooting anything that's moving, hard to capture, and is very spontaneous, this is a great lens for you. And the great thing about this lens, even if it breaks, you can usually put it back together again. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below, press that like button, add a comment, and if you have someone that enjoys photography, share this video with a friend. Thank you for watching, guys. Until the next video, see you then. And the fan of the day is Jumanji. Don't be scared, Jumanji. If you want to learn about all the gear that I recommend, I made a free guide, and you can get this guide by clicking on the link in the description below.